Hey everybody, I'm Cherish.
And I'm Joy.
And we're
Musicals. And we are here to tell you about Chicken and Biscuits.
Chicken and Biscuits. Oh, poor Chicken and Biscuits.
I know, at the Circle in the Square. It's such a shame. Now, we had gotten these tickets before we found out that the show was closing early. So now I feel extra special that we went because it's so sad. This is why it's important. Like, it's important, I think, that the theaters are open, but I also think it's important that we work on keeping everyone safe too. So I'm just kind of like, because, you know, like, we don't want these shows to close, and, you know, not every show is, you know, Wicked, not every show is Hamilton, you know, like, they don't have, like, the months in advance sales that will keep them open if they need to shut down for a few days. And unfortunately, Chicken and Biscuits,
they had to cancel maybe, like, I don't know how many shows. Almost a week's worth of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was enough to be like, we can't continue on like this.
Because I don't think Chicken and Biscuits was doing that great anyway.
After that review.
Because our theater wasn't full. Which is always sad to see, that a theater's not full.
But then theater, like, circling the square. Like, it's so apparent.
It's so, it's so obvious when, you know, it's not selling. And when we the last show we saw there was Oklahoma.
Right. Which was full,
you know, so
granted that was pre-COVID, but
it also didn't help that Chicken and Biscuits got that review from that guy who clearly just say it wasn't your thing, not that it was bad. Just say, you know, it's not for you, but it could be for XYZ. We know the people that the show is marketed for. They were all there. you know, the church going, you know, aunties, you know, and, you know, and families, you know, like, so, we're really sad that Chicken and Biscuits is closing, but we are glad we saw it. We love Norm Lewis.
That's out.
Oh my God, we call him Papa.
We like, can he adopt us? Like,
I don't know why we call him Papa. We call him Papa. And also I had Natasha Yvette Williams from Waitress and Chicago. So, you know, that's our girl. That's our girl. And it has Michael Urie in it, but, you know.
And then had this wonderful, like, company of, like, a whole bunch of Broadway debuts, which makes it extra, like, sad. Like, sad.
Well, yeah. What an interesting show for you to debut in it. So I'll do a synopsis. Chicken and Biscuits is it's basically a family gathering at a funeral, and of course they're not a very, you know, happy family, of course. But it's a comedy. It's not. I wouldn't call it a drama. It's a comedy. You know, so they try to make light. You have the son and nephew that you know, in the closet, bringing his white, you know, gay boyfriend, and, you know, that's kind of like, you know, talked about. You have the mother and daughter who are kind of like the black sheep of the family. You know, they're quirky. You know, they're different than everyone. You have the matriarch of the family who's very cold and, like, proper and, like, you know, likes things her way, and her daughter who's going through a bit of a time, you know, in her love life. And then you have Norm, who's like the dad, who's just trying to, like, hold everything together, and, you know, it's so very interesting. So and they're all here to celebrate the grandfather, you know, the grandfather who passed, who loved Chicken and Biscuits and liked to make it even though he couldn't make it. And so I would say the show was pretty funny. You know, it takes place mostly in a church, so like, and black church at that. So I felt very
as people who grew up going to a Baptist, like, church, it felt very familiar.
Very familiar.
What, I don't know how, but they were able to turn Circle into a Square into, like, a chapel. It was,
when you come in, they're playing gospel music.
They had the stained glass windows. They had
the pews. Which the set is very interesting. It's always very interesting to see what people
plays.
do at Circle and the Square specifically, because it's such a
it's your round.
It's in the round. So basically, their use of the stage was these pews that doubled as like storage and stuff, and like holding props and like seats, and they had like the facade of like the church that was a staple where they walked in and out of. I like that they used the aisles a lot.
They made great use of the aisles in the show. Something to think about. And then there's like one of the actors actually sits in the audience. She comes and you wouldn't know until she actually like makes her like appearance. And I actually saw when she came in, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't realize that she was the actor who was going to be in the show, because she was sitting there. She came and she sat there for like a while, and I noticed the seat next to her was like empty, and I don't know if that's always that way, for her.
So she's not on top of people.
Yeah. And just contact with the public in general, because it's so funny. One of the actors, she plays the daughter, the teenage daughter, the niece.
Her name is. Do you want her character name?
Sure. Latrice.
Latrice.
She played Latrice. She comes and she's standing like on the stairs, like in the aisle. She had a mask on, and I was like, does the show itself takes place like in a COVID world, or is that just for like like her safety, being out, not on the stage? And I was like, interesting. But then she takes it off, when she yells. So I thought that was like interesting, because I don't recall seeing anybody else with a mask. Although I'm pretty sure the actress that was sat in the audience's seat, I'm sure she had a mask on. She had to have had a mask.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, sitting there. I just didn't see her take it off. But that was so interesting. And she was like 2 rows in front of us. Yeah. I don't want to say it because it's going to be,
it'll be off.
Is it spoilers? The show is closing this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so we could talk about it, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so the actress I'm talking about is actually Natasha. She plays Brianna, who is like the bastard daughter of the man who dies, and you don't know this, and I kind of figured it out when she like popped up and said, oh, she was the one who was calling. The oldest daughter, like the matriarch of the family, she was like getting calls like all day. Her phone's just like going off, and she's acting like very like strange about it, but like Norm kind of like lets it go. No one really like thinks too much of it, but it's clearly like distressing her, like why her phone is like ringing. Turns out she's their sister, and they didn't know about her. She's actually the same age as the youngest sister, so like Papa was a Rolling Stone. And anytime paternity gets like thrown out, like at like a funeral, like madness like ensues. I love the use of like slow motion at parts like that. Like Michael Urie, he has a lot of those moments of like slow motion, because he's like, your mother hates me. She does this like hand thing, and then it's like the cowboy like standoff like in like slow motion like moves, like so we had a few of those moments in like the show, and it was really it's what was I talking about?
Slow motion.
Oh yeah, slow motion.
You forgot what you were gonna say.
I was really that was basically like the big twist of the show, like that their father, who was this like great man, who you find out was actually like accepting of like his grandson, who happens to be gay. He's a preacher. Had this like this child like out of wedlock, and you're like you can't believe it, but like tale as old as time, like right. Like, but yeah, it's very interesting. I loved Latrice, which is like the teenage like niece like daughter, and she was like,
she's played by Igner Mizel.
Oh, okay.
Igner. I'm guessing she's of Haitian descent.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know how to pronounce her name.
She was given, y'all watched the Boondocks, like Huey and Riley, just like that, like scratchy, like granddad, like voice is like, and she also was given, like, if anyone's familiar with like Tyler Perry, like shows, like movies, in particular, I forgot the movie in particular, but it's the movie with Bow Wow and Tiana Taylor. She sounded like Tiana Taylor, and I was like, they were supposed to be from the Atlanta area, so I'm like, was that her tapping into like an Atlanta accent? Is that what teenagers sound like in Atlanta? I don't know. I don't really speak to our cousins who live in Atlanta.
And she was so funny. She was so funny.
She was great.
Her and her mom were really funny.
Yeah, they had great comedians for sure. It was a good time. I'm so sorry it's like leaving, because this is like definitely like something like, you know, grandma would be interested in, and like people who probably wouldn't normally like go see a Broadway show. I feel like they would be able to connect with that show, and I love the call and like response throughout the show.
Yeah, it's kind of it was given more of like a more PG-13 like Medea shows, you know, not so campy, not so, you know, like, you know, but like it gives like that kind of like wholesome like family, like a lot of praying, a lot of you know.
They very much wanted like the audience to participate like in like the funeral service. They're like you know, Norm's like preaching. Norm has this like great part. His part is very like minuscule. Like the show really does not revolve around him, which is crazy because it's Norm Lewis. But but when he does have his like part, you know, he's like preaching. He has that wonderful like voice. And, you know, they want you to, like, respond, like, you're in, like, church and stuff like that. But, you know, some people don't feel comfortable, like, don't get it. So it'd be interesting to see it, like, with, like, a audience who was, like, given, you know, what the actors, like, really, you know, were, like, looking for. Not that it, like, hurt the show in any way. But
and they do interact with the audience.
They do.
A lot. They do turn around and, like, the audience a lot. And
it was fun.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Well, happy Trails Chicken and Biscuits. The merch of Chicken and Biscuits was like abysmal. They had fans, like, you know, the Paper Church fans. They had 2 types of t-shirts. They had your magnets. It was, nothing seemed very, I don't know what I was expecting, but it is a play, so the plays usually don't have that great of merch in the first place.
I know. I love my Frankie and Johnny t-shirt.
True. Frankie and Johnny, yeah. That was different. But,
so, should we show our merch?
Yeah, why not? Okay. We did get a magnet because why not? And we did get a shirt because, like, guys, it's gonna be a collector's item. Like, I just feel so bad it was like closing, and I wasn't like 100% enthused with like the shirt. It's very plain, but
yeah,
why not?
Oh, I do want to talk about the curtain calls. Very nice curtain call. If there's ever any curtain calls up on YouTube, you get a sense of what that curtain call is like. Very different curtain call. I like that.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
The dancing, kind of like, you know, there's no intermission, so. And there's no really like curtain either. So.
I noticed that a lot of people were getting up during the show. I was like, is it really that?
It was 90 minutes. You don't need to
get up, not unless you have like a medical condition, I would say.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like if you can sit through Black Church, you can sit through Chicken and Biscuits. So yeah.
Happy Trails Chicken and Biscuits.
Happy Trails.
Bye.